Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Dion Paul, Client Relations with ProSource. Today, I'll be speaking with Eddie Tapar, General Manager of ProSource. Give us a couple of minutes. I think there's an extra couple of people joining us this morning, so we'll wait a minute or two while they get online. In the meantime, if you have a question for Eddie during the webinar, feel free to ask. I'm going to keep an eye on the Zoom webinar chat. I might miss the question, so I'll ask it towards the end as well. So feel free to interject with your questions along the way, but keep in mind we'll take a minute or two towards the end to have a bit of a Q&A with Eddie. Having said that, by way of introducing Eddie, Eddie has over 25 years experience in construction and maintenance activities in the telecommunications and power industries with extensive knowledge of a variety of networks, including Australia, New Zealand, and the Caribbean. Eddie will be sharing his journey through the construction industry, his experiences, relationships, pain points, successes, and insights. Welcome, Eddie.
Thank you. Good morning to Morena from New Zealand.
Yeah, good morning. Hey, Eddie, thank you for joining us. When I look at your experience over the last 20 years, and I'm probably more talking about some of your leadership experience, I see General Manager, Construction Project Manager, a National Operations Manager at Lendlease, all in construction. So for you, and I'm probably more thinking leadership because you've got quite an extensive background, for you, where did it all start?
Well, I'm just sitting there, I took a few notes, and it all started back in 1987. Starting my apprenticeship, it took me 3 years to do that with New Zealand Post Office. So, you know, you've got to start from somewhere, and, you know, decide to take that path in the construction industry, or more so the telecommunications industry. I did not think that, you know, 30 plus years later, I'd still be playing with within the industry. So it's been a great journey. As I said, it was 1984 to 87, I was doing my apprenticeship. Spent another couple of years there before I moved to the big and wonderful Australia in Melbourne. That was in 89. Continued doing telecommunications with Telecom, as it was called back then, you know, eventually becoming Telstra as it is today. And I was there till 1989, where I really had my first real break in construction, I guess, with the privatisation of more so the power industry, the telecommunications industry back in 89. That's when they started one of the biggest projects in the world at the time, or in telecommunications, which was the Optus cable TV rollout. You know, even when we think back then, and back in 1995, we did not, you know, what we didn't know back then is amazing. You know how it's all transformed, and the magnitude and the size of that network and that build. So I was pretty fortunate that you know, I got the opportunity to start with Skill Communications. And they were doing the rollout for Optus themselves and another company called Leighton's. And that was where I really got my first opportunity as a leader. Obviously, I demonstrated some great skills in the field, being a crew leader. You know, back then it was all about productivity, safety, and all that. But it was just the way that they recognised that, you know, my planning of my field works was reaping the rewards and getting the productivity, or exceeding productivity, you know, with it, you know, but being smart about it, being clever. So, you know, once again, construction is all about planning, you know, and making sure things are in place. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everyone knows their role. So, you know, that was quickly identified by my management, and they gave me the opportunity to, you know, to become a leader. And I started even in training. I went to the training school and was training all our new recruits, and trained about 300 people over a 9-month period. And then I continued my frontline leadership or supervision, and then eventually got my ultimate role, as I thought back then, was a senior construction supervisor on the Optus rollout in Adelaide. And, you know, we all brag about how good each individual project was, and there's always these battles between the states. But I was just proud that even at the time that the South Australia project was the most productive project on the Optus rollout. So I was part of that. To be part of that was, was great to be in that team and to be noted for, the levels of productivity and quality that we had on that project. So I can continue on, but with all of that. But at the end of the day, I've been given the opportunity to take on leadership, and I've managed projects all around the countryside. So after the South Australia project, I did the Telstra Access Renewal project, telephony installations. We were installing up to 300 new service lines a day. That was quite a lot back in those days. Eventually, I went to Canberra and managed the Transact rollout on behalf of Skilled. And I've been around country Victoria doing projects for Powercor, about 700 kilometres in the western part of Victoria. You name it, around the countryside. If there's anything to do with telecommunications, a lot in the power industry, ADSS fibre probably built or managed 80% of the network in New South Wales. It's been instrumental to be part of growing a business from a tier 3 business right through to a tier 1, where been instrumental in picking up major projects with Lendlease, where they are right now, a major service provider to the NBN network.